Hello, welcome to Learning Life Podcast. My name is Tadisha, and I'm so glad you're here. This is a safe place where we can both learn and unlearn a lot of things about life. Let's get started.
Hello, today I'm continuing with my pandemic story. First, I want to share something that's really important, and it's about faith, and it's still connected to the story. There's a moral to my story. During that time, when the future was uncertain, because something like that pandemic, had never happened before. I had no idea what to do. But I did not think or focus on the situation. I did not think about all the bad things happening. I did not focus on the problem. I didn't know what to do. And a lot of times, that's not knowing what to do meant that I couldn't go and do something which was not right in the first place. I didn't have a clue what to do. So I had to go to God. During that time, because everything was shut down, I had to stay in that place, not knowing what would come next. There's a verse in the Bible that says, I will keep you in perfect peace, all whose mind is stayed on thee. I wasn't thinking about what was going on around me. I didn't go by my sight. I went by faith. All right. So I want to go into part 2 of my pandemic story. Where I left off, I was talking about how God miraculously blessed me and my family to find somewhere to stay temporarily while everything was shut down. And I remember it like yesterday. By the time we found a place to stay, it was nighttime, it was dark, and it was an Airbnb. I went in to check the place to make sure it was legit, and I found out that it was, and we moved in. I didn't know what was going to happen over the next couple of weeks, but the only thing I could think of was that you just stay still until you know what to do. Weeks turned into months. And in that little Airbnb, there's sometimes places where you can stay temporarily and it works. But when you stay in a place that's not designed for long term for a long time, all of a sudden the flaws and the problems start to come up. And so the longer we stayed in that Airbnb, all of a sudden there were like little problems that we started having. Well, I would speak to the host, and I found out the host was a foreigner from another country. And quite understandably, there weren't any staff because of that time. There were only a handful of people who could come by occasionally. They did the best they could. But the host, after a while, it just started seeming like the host was money hungry. Then it started becoming a situation, as they say, where I started to get doubtful of what to do next because I was like, well, things are sort of going south in this Airbnb, and where can I go? I don't know where else to go because all the areas were shut down. So literally, if you're in one district, you couldn't really go to the other district. You had to stay in the district you were in the area you were in. So I was like, I don't know where else to go. And this is where all of a sudden I start to have a little doubt and fear because I was like, if I know that this place, even though I'm having issues with it, is still here for me, why would I even try to go out and find another place when everything is locked down? Mind you, this is probably like the third or fourth month, and everything was still locked down. I start complaining to the host to see what they would do to solve the problems in that rental, to no avail. And I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna have to soldier it out, just gonna have to tolerate it." I didn't have enough faith to believe God would make a way out of no way, all right? All of a sudden, one day, water start pouring out of the bathroom ceiling. It was like a little tiny stream just pouring out of the ceiling, and you could see a hole coming through the ceiling. I sent pictures and everything to the host. Then the host had to change us to another rental. In my mind, I said, if you had another rental, why didn't you switch us out in the first place? Now the host switches us to another unit, but it's not in a likable place. It's on the total opposite side of this complex in the basement. And I was like, okay, I don't know where this host is coming from, but it seems like I understood there was, a situation where people can't just give you their best. But to me, it just seemed like I kept getting stuff that was not so good. So we went to the basement unit and we were like, do you know how sometimes a place can feel kind of like eerie? Well, it was already a ghost town because everything was locked down. This next place that this host switched us to, it felt eerie in the basement. Everything looked okay, but it just didn't feel comfortable. After about a week or less than a week in there, we were starting to complain again because it just wasn't right. And I hear a lot of people nowadays talk about how in these different hotel rooms and Airbnbs, you have to be really careful because you just don't know what has happened in these places before you come into them. Anyways, after a couple of days, we were like, we don't know what to do, but we can't stay in here. And that's the thing I want to say before I go forward with the story is that fear will have you tolerate dysfunction. Fear will make you do things that is illogical. That's why the enemy uses fear, because if he can get you to start thinking a certain way fearfully, then you are in the palm of its hands, because fear causes people to do things that don't make sense. It's the tool of the devil, fear. And so fear really was trying to take hold of me at that time because I was like, well, if we can't stay in this place, where can we go? Because everything is locked down. It seemed like it would be the best thing to do is just stay in the place and tolerate. But I was like, how much tolerating can you do? So we started looking for other places. Let me tell you, we only had to stay in that basement apartment for a week. God provided, and we were able to find another place to stay. I remember like yesterday pulling my luggage up the stairs because this was in the basement. So you had to struggle. There was no elevator on this side. So you had to struggle to bring your stuff around the stairs. And I was pulling that stuff around the stairs to get out of there. God had blessed us with another place to stay while the borders were locked down. And we got to the new place. And can I say we had no complaints? And so what I'm trying to say and share in this testimony is that have to stay focused on God. There's a verse that I want to end this on, and it is in Colossians chapter 3, verse 2. And it says, set your mind on things above, not on things on the earth. Set your mind on things above and not on things on the earth. So at that time during the pandemic, it would be so easy to set your mind on the negativity, on the bad situation, on the crisis. But when there's a crisis, you don't look at the crisis because that's how you get overwhelmed. That's how you lose your faith. You have to set your mind on things above, on heaven. It's a lot easier said than done. But if you have faith as a mustard seed, he says, you speak to the mountain and it will move. So it's not so much that you have to put effort into it. It's just you have to let go and just let God. At that time, I had no idea what to do, but that's exactly how I prayed. I said, God, I don't know what to do, but I'm just going to let go and trust in you. And there were so many times that I wanted to give into fear, but God wouldn't let me. And, sometimes we go through things and we forget. And I don't want to forget that. And so that's why I'm sharing this testimony. I hope that it blesses you and encourages you. And yes, please like, comment, and share it. And I will be back on here next week with a new episode. Take care.
This is Learning Life Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you learned something, that you enjoyed this episode. If you want to support this podcast, please subscribe. Thank you so much. See you next week.